What would you do if, after sacrificing everything for your family, they told you not to come home for Christmas? You gave them your time, your dreams, your money, and all you got in return was a text. This isn't just a story. It's a wake-up call for anyone who's ever been taken for granted by the very people they loved most. I still remember the feeling when my phone screen lit up that morning. A text from Mom. Normally, that would make me smile, but this time, it was different. You don't need to come home for Christmas this year. Emma needs space to get her emotions settled. I read the message 10 times. Maybe more, as if the letters would rearrange themselves and somehow mean something else. But they didn't. The words stayed cold, final. My hand trembled. A lump formed in my throat. Just 2 months ago, I had wired $6,000 to my family. Money I had scraped together by picking up extra shifts, by skipping nights out with friends, by saying no to myself over and over again. Mom had said they needed to fix the heating system before winter. And now, I wasn't even allowed to set foot in the house I was helping to keep warm. I stared out the window of my tiny apartment in Denver. Snow was falling gently. Christmas lights were already going up. Down the street, a family laughed as they carried a tree home, their voices ringing through the crisp, frozen air. And me? I had just been erased from my own family's Christmas. Emma needs space. Emma, my little sister, the one I had sacrificed my youth for. Emma, the one everyone coddled because she was more sensitive, more fragile. And me? I was Isabel, the strong one, the self-sufficient one, the one everyone assumed didn't need to be cared for. I thought back to last Christmas, driving 6 hours through a snowstorm just to make it home. Emma had just lost her 3rd job that year, and the whole evening was spent comforting her. No one asked me about my job. No one asked how I was doing. No one even knew that I had just lost a promotion opportunity because I had taken emergency time off to help pay for the roof repairs after the October storm. I picked up my phone, ready to call Mom and demand an explanation. But my finger froze over the screen. I already knew the answer. I had known it for a long time, but hadn't wanted to admit it. I opened my photo album and scrolled through pictures of family gatherings. In every photo, I was there. In the back, at the edge, holding the camera, making sure everyone else looked perfect, rarely in the frame, rarely seen. Exactly how my role in the family had always been. Not important, easily overlooked. In 2020, the pandemic didn't just bring a virus and lockdowns, it brought a full-blown financial crisis to my family. I still remember that phone call. Mom sobbing on the other end of the line, telling me Dad had lost his job, his pension had been slashed, and their savings had evaporated after 3 months of covering medical bills. "Can you help us, sweetheart? Just for a little while?" Mom's voice trembled. At that time, I was in my final year of college, having just secured a full-ride scholarship for graduate school at a prestigious university in California. I had fought tooth and nail for that opportunity, pulling all-nighters to write essays, working 3 part-time jobs to afford travel for interviews, knocking on professors' doors to beg for recommendation letters. And with one phone call, everything changed. "Just a few months, Isabel," Mom promised, "until Dad finds another job." I believed her. I called to decline the scholarship. I packed up my life, and I moved back home to a quiet suburb outside Denver. From a promising student with a world of possibilities ahead, I became a cashier at the local supermarket, working 12-hour shifts, 6 days a week. Every paycheck was deposited straight into my mother's account. Months blurred into years. Just a few months turned into maybe next year. And then, no one mentioned it again. It was as if my dreams, my scholarship, my future had never existed. Meanwhile, Emma, my younger sister, dropped out of the prestigious, expensive university she was attending, a tuition we were still paying off. "I don't like this major," Emma announced at dinner. I need time to find my true passion. No one protested. No one mentioned the mountain of student loan debt. No one spoke about the sacrifices I had made to ensure she could attend her dream school. Instead, Mom and Dad nodded in understanding and promised to support Emma while she found her path. A year later, Emma decided she wanted to be a photographer. I shelled out $4,000 for a professional camera. 6 months later, the camera gathered dust as Emma switched gears. Now she wanted to open a bakery. Another $3,500 for baking equipment and classes. 3 months after that, baking was too stressful, and she moved on to becoming a yoga instructor. And every time, I opened my wallet. And every time, the family said, Emma needs to explore. She's sensitive, you know. Meanwhile, the roof leaked after the fall storm. I picked up night shifts to pay for repairs. The heating bill skyrocketed during winter. I paid it. Dad's car engine died. I borrowed money from friends to fix it. When Dad suffered a heart attack in 2022, I sold my beloved laptop to help cover hospital bills. No one in the family knew any of this. They just knew, Isabel will handle it. As if I had endless resources, as if my sacrifices were simply expected. I still remember Christmas Eve 2021. Emma unwrapped an expensive designer coat. I unwrapped a handmade card. We have to be careful with money, Mom explained, but Emma needs the coat to feel confident for job interviews. I smiled. I thanked them for the card. While my pockets were empty after buying gifts for the entire family, I never complained, I never demanded. I was the strong one, the daughter they believed could always fend for herself, the one they thought never needed comforting, or a hug, or even a simple thank you. I told myself it was my responsibility. That family came first, that my sacrifices meant something, until that message lit up my phone. You don't need to come home for Christmas. Emma needs space to get her emotions settled. That message didn't just uninvite me from Christmas, it erased 5 years of sacrifice. It laid bare a brutal truth I had spent too long avoiding. In my family's eyes, I wasn't a daughter. I wasn't a sister. I was a financial resource, a tool, something to fix problems, nothing more. I sat in front of my computer, staring at the list of my automatic monthly payments, 8 different charges all funneling straight into my family's expenses: electricity, water, internet, home insurance, car insurance, Dad's car loan, Mom's monthly medication, and a family emergency fund, which in reality was Emma's personal spending money, nearly $2,400 a month, more than half my take-home income. And that didn't even include the emergencies that popped up every few weeks. A broken washing machine, a shattered window, Emma's newest course enrollment. My finger hovered over the cancel automatic payment button, but I hesitated. All my life, I had been taught that family comes first, that being a good daughter meant sacrificing, that my needs would always come second to everyone else's. For 5 years, I had lived by those rules, to the point of losing myself. But I have the right to be treated like a person, not an ATM. I have the right to build a future for myself. I have the right to say no. I clicked on the first payment, the electricity bill. I still remembered last winter wearing 3 layers inside my freezing apartment because I had emptied my savings to pay for my family's heating for the home I was now no longer welcome in for Christmas. Cancel. Next, water. Just last month, Emma had complained the bill was too high because she needed long showers to relax her mind. No one had mentioned that I had skipped lunch for a week to cover the extra cost. Cancel. Internet. I still used a bare-bones data plan because I couldn't afford high-speed Wi-Fi for myself, while my family enjoyed premium internet so Emma could binge Netflix and game online. Cancel. One by one, I clicked cancel. At first, my hand trembled, but strangely, with every click, I felt lighter, like I was taking off a heavy stone from the overloaded backpack I had carried for years. Finally, I reached the last payment, the family emergency fund. I hovered longer over that one. I knew that money had paid for Emma's endless whims, saxophone lessons, rock climbing club memberships, designer sneakers, and a trip to Cancun she called her creative reset. I reread Mom's text. "You don't need to come home for Christmas. Emma needs space. Cancel." I leaned back in my chair, my body shaking. But not from fear, not from guilt, from relief, from a sense of freedom I hadn't felt in 5 long years. My phone buzzed. Mom was calling. Maybe she had already gotten the bank notifications about the canceled payments. In the past, I would have scrambled to pick up, to apologize, to explain, to fix everything. But this time, I muted the call and placed the phone face down. I opened my laptop and began browsing job listings. For 5 years, I hadn't dared look for better opportunities, afraid a better job would mean longer hours, more distance, less flexibility to be at my family's beck and call. But now I could search for the job I wanted, a job that would challenge me, a job that would pay me what I deserved. I glanced at my phone again. 5 missed calls, 3 unread messages. I didn't open them. Instead, I wrote a single sentence and set it as my phone's wallpaper. "If I'm only loved when I'm paying, it's not love." That sentence became my guiding star for every decision I made next. A week passed, then 2. My phone never stopped buzzing. Calls from family, messages flooding my inbox. "What's going on with the payments?" From Mom. "The electric bill's due, did you forget?" From Dad. "Isabel, why aren't you answering Mom's texts?" From Emma. I didn't reply. Not because I wanted to punish them, but because I knew that if I responded, I'd be sucked right back into the old cycle, feeling guilty, apologizing, and paying. I needed time to think, time to heal, time to redefine my worth. By the end of the first month, their tone began to shift. "Isabel, I don't understand how you could do this to your family. We raised you, and now you treat us like this?" Mom, "I know you're upset, but you can't just leave your family in trouble. I can't afford my medication this month." Dad, "Sis, it's freezing at home. The heating's off because we couldn't pay the gas bill. I have to sleep wearing 3 layers." Emma. Those messages hurt the most. But then I remembered, Emma had once slept soundly in a warm, cozy room, while I shivered in my freezing apartment, having emptied my heating fund to pay their bills. By the 2nd month, their strategy changed. They shifted from begging to blaming. "You're so ungrateful after everything we've done for you." Emma had to quit yoga classes because we couldn't afford them. "Do you even care how much you're hurting her?" "You only think about yourself." I'm ashamed of the selfish daughter I raised. Once, words like these would have crushed me, but now, I saw them for what they really were: manipulation. A desperate attempt to drag me back into the role of the unconditional provider. I stayed silent. Until late November, when there was a knock at my door. I opened it to find Dad standing there, his face gaunt, his frame smaller somehow. He looked like he had aged years in just a few months. "I need to talk to you," he said, his voice hoarse. "Things are really bad at home." I let him in, made him a cup of tea. He looked around my tiny apartment as if truly seeing for dapai, Sarai, Yao, Andi, and Di. The first time how I had been living. "I know you're upset about Christmas," he said, "but you have to understand, Emma's struggling. She needs special attention." "And what about me, Dad?" I asked, my voice calm. "Did I never need attention?" "You're different," he said immediately. "You're strong. You've always been able to take care of yourself." "Have you ever asked yourself why I had to be strong?" I said quietly. "Because you never gave me another choice. Because every time I struggled, everyone just said, 'She'll get through it,' and turned their attention back to Emma." Dad fell silent, "But this is family, Isabel," he finally said. "You can't just abandon family." "Family isn't supposed to mean one person sacrifices everything, Dad," I said, struggling to hold back tears. "Love isn't supposed to demand endless, one-sided sacrifice." "But you did it out of loyalty," he said, his voice rising. "Loyalty doesn't mean bleeding yourself dry forever," I repeated, this time with unshakable certainty. "I gave up my scholarship, my career, my dreams, all for this family, and what did I get in return? A text telling me I wasn't welcome for Christmas." Dad lowered his head, silent. "I can't keep doing this," I said. "I can't keep patching over everyone's mistakes, while mine are ignored. I need to build a life for myself." "So, you're just going to abandon us?" Dad asked, his voice cracking. "No," I said. "I'm stopping you from abandoning me. I'm done being the rescuer. It's time for everyone to take responsibility." Dad left with a bewildered look on his face. But for the first time in years, I didn't feel guilty. I felt like I had finally spoken a truth I had swallowed for far, far too long. Winter arrived, snow blanketed Denver in quiet white. I didn't go home for Christmas. Instead, I used the money I would have sent to my family to enroll in a photography course, a passion I had pushed aside for far too long. I landed a new job at an advertising firm, with a better salary and a healthier work environment. And for the first time in years, I began saving money, not to patch the family roof or fund Emma's latest hobby, but to someday open a small cafe, a dream I never allowed myself to have while I was the family's ATM. I made friends who truly cared about me, people who didn't just show up when they needed something. I learned how to say no without feeling guilty. I learned to put my needs first, not out of selfishness, but because you can't pour from an empty cup. By spring, I received a message from my mother. The family home was up for sale. After a freezing winter with no one left to carry the burden, they could no longer keep it. For the first time, her message wasn't a demand or a guilt trip. It was just a fact, and at the end, 2 words. "I'm sorry." 2 simple words I had waited years to hear. I didn't rush back to fix everything. Instead, I replied, "I understand. I hope you all find a place that feels right. Wishing you the best, Mom." Sometimes I still get messages from Emma, not asking for money, but asking about my life. Maybe she's starting to see me as a person, not just a resource. I don't know if we'll ever rebuild our relationship, but I do know one thing. I will never be the person I used to be. Real family is where you're loved unconditionally, not where you're expected to pay for love with your entire life. And sometimes, to find your real family, you need the courage to walk away from those who've taken your love for granted far too long. If any part of my story resonates with your life, please remember this. You deserve to be loved for who you are, not for what you give. You are not a wallet. You are not a solution. You are not a safety net. You are a whole, breathing human being with dreams, needs, and value. Set boundaries. Say no when you need to. And most of all, remember that one-sided sacrifice isn't love. It's exploitation. If you're in a toxic family dynamic like I was, please know you are not alone. There are resources, communities, and professionals who can help you find the strength to put yourself first. I invite you to share your story in the comments below or reach out to us if you need support. It's time we stop sacrificing ourselves for those who don't appreciate it. It's time we build relationships rooted in mutual respect and true balance. Start your journey today, because you deserve a life better than this. Call to action. If this story touched you in any way, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever had to walk away from a family dynamic that no longer served you? Have you ever struggled to set boundaries with people you love? Your voice matters, and your story could be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. If you found value in this video, please give it a like. It truly helps us reach more people who need to know they are not alone. And if you'd like to be part of a community where we have real, raw conversations about healing, growth, and self-respect, hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new story. We post every Thursday, and next week we'll be talking about how to heal when the people you love refuse to change. Thank you for spending this time with me. Remember, you are worthy of love, respect, and freedom. Never settle for less. If you've ever felt unseen, unheard, or used, this story was for you. You don't owe your soul to anyone, not even family. You deserve love that doesn't come with conditions and support that doesn't come with a receipt. Share your story in the comments. Someone out there needs to hear it. Like, subscribe, and join us every Thursday for real stories about healing, growth, and choosing yourself, unapologetically. Until next time, you are not selfish for walking away. You are brave, and you are not alone.